Right now on Hong Kong, they're doing $2 billion Hong Kong of support. It's not free beer, but it is an extra payment to Social Security recipients, a subsidy for kindergarten, primary and secondary students, and a one-off electricity charge as well. Yvonne, I guess this is what you do. You have a fiscal stimulus when something goes awry. Does the fiscal stimulus have anything linked to the protests?
That's not what the finance secretary is saying. He's saying these stimulus measures were not related to the protests that we've had in recent weeks. But the key question is, John, those measures that you just highlighted there, is it enough for Hong Kong to avoid entering into a technical recession here as these protests go on for an 11th straight month? It's all about the sentiment, right? Who's going to go out and spend when retailers are shutting stores at the moment here as we see protests going on and tourists not coming into Hong Kong as they fear their safety. And they shop at the Pacific Place right behind you. Here's Mr. Chan right now at the conference adjusting Hong Kong forward. Yvonne, man, you are deep into China as well. Whether you're at the Mandarin or the Conrad, you are about 1,524 feet into China, which is about as far as I go when I visit. What are we going to see this weekend right behind you on those two highways and in the commercial district? Are we going to see protests? Well, that's the key question, right? On Sunday, we do know that they have planned a march. The key question is going to be, what's this going to be like? What crowds are going to show up here? How many people are going to show up here? It's going to be a real test to see where the mood is here at the moment after what has been a pretty volatile and violent week. They shut down the airport on Monday. Flights canceled. We saw disruptions in the airport here, violent clashes between protesters and men who they claim were mainland police officers. So it's going to be a good way to see just where the sentiment is. Are people still going to rally behind these demonstrations, or is momentum getting lost after these airport beatings that we saw?
Yvonne, overall, how much has this undermined Hong Kong's reputation for stability, and what does that mean for future IPOs?
Yeah, we talk about the recession calls. We talk about the Hang Seng Index falling some 12% in the past 3 months. We've also learned in terms of the IPO market, some companies reconsidering their listing plans here in the city, given the unrest that we've seen. And we talk about Pacific Place behind me. They're owned by Swire Group, which also owns Cathay Pacific. They've been dealing with these unrest and the impact from them from multiple fronts. You talk about the retail sector. We've seen businesses like Richemont, Swatch, the luxury brands, here due to these store closures. Hotel bookings, we still have some hotels up there on top of Pacific Place, the likes of Marriott, Conrad, Shangri-La, could fall into a crisis as well. Bookings could plunge as much as 50% this month. That's according to a Hong Kong lawmaker that represents the tourism industry. And keep in mind, when it comes to foreign arrivals here in Hong Kong, more than 80% come from the mainland.